Tonight, calls for the Allen government to walk away from big build projects as budget blowouts cast doubt on how it'll fund hospitals and police. Organised crime's new frontier. Police intercept 10 million illegal cigarettes each week. Israel's rescue tragedy. Hostages accidentally killed by the soldiers sent to save them. Firefighters warn their ageing fleet is obsolete and dangerous. And a drug shock as Friends actor Matthew Perry's cause of death is revealed.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Blake Johnson starts now.
Good evening. The Allen government faces calls to walk away from some of its big build projects as anger grows over cost blowouts. Insiders say if something isn't done, services like police and hospitals could suffer in the long run.
The cost of the North East Link towers over the lives of Bulleen residents. They're furious. It's now ballooned from $10 billion to $26 billion.
It's really, really unbelievable how these politicians can spend that kind of money without due diligence.
We're not being told the truth at the beginning, and why can't costs be kept to what they actually estimate them as?
I think the cost will blow out more because of the complexity of the project.
Now the government's being urged to bite the bullet.
And if there is a way to abandon it, the government should abandon it.
And with the projected state debt in 2027 blowing out by another $6 billion, a warning of dire consequences.
There's not going to be a lot of scope for additional spending on things like schools, hospitals, police and housing.
Prompting this challenge.
Jacinta Allen and Tim Pallas need to give a guarantee that there will be no taxation increases in next year's budget.
Not that he expects it to happen.
There can only be one possibility under Jacinta Allen in next year's budget in May, and that's higher taxes.
Back at Bulleen, residents meant to benefit from the North East Link now say the big build, big spend is not worth it.
26 billion? I don't think so.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
Police are seizing almost 2 billion cigarettes a year as organised crime pivots to illegal tobacco. Huge profit margins and low penalties are driving the battle to control a multi-billion-dollar industry with violent consequences.
Underworld riches on a record scale. Crime groups are raking in more than $1 billion a year from black market tobacco.
Syndicates that are bringing in 300 million cigarettes at a time.
Authorities are making record seizures. 1.7 billion illegal cigarettes intercepted at the border in 12 months. Demand has sparked an explosive turf war with 30 Victorian properties firebombed this year. A notorious criminal suspected of calling the shots from the Middle East.
One of the theories coming out of police is it's a great way to quickly make enough money to invest in things that make even more money.
It's understood that criminal groups are so confident about their supply chains, they're not even bothering to try to hide their cargo. Hundreds of millions of cigarettes are intercepted by authorities each year, but billions more are making it into the country. The risk is lower for criminals. The maximum penalty for tobacco importation is 10 years jail. In contrast, importing more than 1.5 kilograms of heroin can result in a life sentence. And the cost is lower for black market customers. A legal pack of 20 cigarettes sells for $50. Almost half of the cost is due to federal government excise, which lifts by 5% each year.
The supply will meet the demand. And at one point, if there's oversupply, the price will drop and a lot of people will drop out of the marketplace. There's no indication that's happening.
Cameron Bowe, 7 News.
A man has been arrested over a ram raid at a shopping centre west of Melbourne. The car smashed its way through the foyer of the Brisbane shopping centre in Deer Park just before 7:30 this morning. It travelled 50 metres into the complex, ramming a standalone ATM before driving away. The car caused significant damage to the front entry and to the ATM, but nothing was stolen. A 47-year-old man was arrested in St Albans this afternoon. 3 Israeli hostages have been mistakenly killed in Gaza by the soldiers sent to save them. The troops opened fire after confusing the young men with Hamas fighters.
Filming the Hamas invasion on October 7, 28-year-old Yotam Hayim says a terrorist infiltration is underway. He was abducted moments later. 7 Spotlight program spoke with his heartbroken mother.
He is telling us that he loves us, and if he will not survive this, I love you. I was afraid all the time that somebody will call me and tell me that my son is a body.
Her anguish now is unthinkable. The talented musician, one of 3 hostages, shot dead by the very troops fighting for their release.
We're looking into how it happened, how it came about that these hostages were out.
Israel's military had mistaken the young men for Hamas fighters. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu describing it as an unbearable tragedy. We will dress our wounds, learn the lessons and continue efforts to bring hostages home. Hundreds marching in protest in Tel Aviv, many of them relatives whose loved ones are still missing.
What we have told our troops is to be extra vigilant and do one more safety check.
The US government is ramping up pressure on Israel to scale back its large ground offensive for a more targeted campaign.
One that is focused in more precise ways on targeting the leadership and on intelligence-driven operation.
To stop the careless waste of life. In the United States, Jacqueline Robson, 7 News.
Fire has all but destroyed a Masonic centre in Melbourne's east this afternoon. 13 CFA and FRV units were called to the fire in Lilydale, which broke out just after 3:30. When firefighters arrived, the building was already engulfed in flames, with fire burning through the roof of the property. It took crews just under an hour to bring the blaze under control. There were no reports of injuries. And the Firefighters Union is calling for an urgent upgrade to the state's fleet of trucks after a serious malfunction at a fatal factory blaze. They're warning some of the trucks are decades out of date and potentially dangerous.
A deadly factory inferno that claimed the life of a worker last week has uncovered serious concerns with faulty and out-of-date equipment. The Firefighters Union says the fleet is obsolete and dangerous.
I have grave concern that it's only a matter of time before we have a catastrophic failure.
A truck that responded to the Dandenong factory fire malfunctioned, threatening community safety.
And we're the only truck at the moment that's providing phone to the job. As you can see, there's a whole heap of smoke coming out the top of the truck.
Gravely concerned. As you can see, we had firefighters injured last week. It's only a matter of time that one of these trucks is going to fail completely and put the community and firefighters at risk.
It's over 20 years old, but the union say most are that or even older.
This one here is due to have its 31st birthday in February. It's just concerning for the community and firefighters when they go out to do their job every day.
In a statement, the state government told 7 News, "We have delivered record funding in recent years for our fire services to ensure they have the resources and equipment they need to protect our communities and keep firefighters safe."
We've seen no filtering through of new appliances at all.
In a response to the claims, Fire Rescue Victoria says one appliance out of 40 on scene experienced a minor mechanical issue. Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
A woman and child have been taken to hospital after allegedly falling victim to drag races in Melbourne's north just after midnight. Witnesses say 2 young P-platers were speeding down Hilton Street in Glenroy when one of the cars struck an innocent vehicle. An 8-year-old child suffered an injury to their upper body. A woman in her 30s was treated for back pain. Police believe speed was a factor and say both the male drivers are assisting them with their inquiries. Families struggling with the cost of living crisis could be in for a much happier new year. Economists say it's only a matter of time before falling inflation brings relief to Australian households.
Wall Street in a flurry. The US share market surging this week after the Federal Reserve left interest rates on hold for the 3rd month in a row. Falling inflation feeding expectations the Fed will start cutting borrowing costs next year. Encouraging news for Australian mortgage holders struggling to meet monthly repayments.
It's only a matter of time before the Reserve Bank follows in the same direction.
The RBA tipped to slash rates 3 times in 2024 from 4.35% to 3.6%.
The tide of higher inflation and higher interest rates is now starting to recede.
Making it easier for families and Labor's bid for a second term, helping to flip the political debate in the countdown to the next election and blunt one of the coalition's main lines of attack.
What we're seeing more and more is Australian families suffering from cost of living pressures, and we're seeing a government with no answers.
An argument that's gaining traction now, but the government says won't be by the time voters head to the polls.
That's certainly the expectation. The Treasury expects inflation to moderate further. They expect wages to grow.
Taking the pressure off family budgets and a government seeking re-election.
There's more to do and there are certainly challenges ahead. But we've got a big agenda for 2024.
A Christmas message promising more cost of living presence next year. Rob Scott, 7 News.
Actor Matthew Perry's death has been ruled an accident. Medical officials revealing the Friends star succumbed to the effects of ketamine. Blood tests showed high levels of the drug in his system after he was found lifeless in his jacuzzi almost 2 months ago.
He said himself his life's mission was to make people laugh.
There is a little child inside this man.
Yes, the doctors say if they remove it, he'll die.
And Matthew Perry's loss has been keenly felt across the globe. According to an autopsy report, the actor died from the acute effects of ketamine. He'd reportedly been having ketamine infusion therapy to deal with depression and anxiety. The report lists contributing factors, including drowning, coronary artery disease, and the effects of buprenorphine, a drug used to treat opioid addiction. In late October, Perry was found unresponsive in his jacuzzi at his Los Angeles home. No drugs or drug paraphernalia were found nearby. Officials now confirming his body showed no evidence of needle punctures. Known and beloved for playing Chandler Bing in the 90s sitcom Friends.
I'm Chandler, I make jokes when I'm uncomfortable.
Perry's life off-screen had been a never-ending battle with addiction, a topic he didn't shy away from.
If somebody comes up to me and says, I can't stop drinking, can you help me? I can say yes and follow up and do it.
His Friends co-star Jennifer Aniston recently revealing she'd been texting him the morning of his death, saying he was not in pain, he wasn't struggling, he was happy. His family has now started a foundation in his honour, helping others battle their demons, picking up where he left off. In the United States, Smiley Hogan, 7 News.
The driver charged over a Daylesford crash tragedy has spent his first night at home after posting a $250,000 bail late yesterday. 66-year-old William Swale faces 5 counts of culpable driving causing death.
Mr. Swale, how are you holding up?
Is there anything you'd like to say to the families, Mr. Swale?
Police claim Mr Swale ignored 8 diabetes alerts before he ploughed through a packed beer garden, killing 5 people. His barrister says it's the first case in Victorian legal history based on the failure to observe blood sugar levels. Mr Swale's back in court in April. Wild storms have left a trail of damage across Brisbane, killing at least 1 person found next to live power lines. And tonight, a 10-year-old girl is fighting for her life after she was struck by lightning.
It was as fierce as it was fast. Storm cyclonic that slammed into Queensland's southeast.
Jesus, me.
It's force stronger than Cyclone Jasper. Winds of 169 kilometres an hour, toppling trucks.
Wow, the wind just blew it over.
Flipping planes on the tarmac at Archerfield Airport.
That level of wind gust is comparable to a low-end Category 3 tropical cyclone, so severe tropical cyclone, and is also within the range of the second lowest tornado as well.
There was chaos at Brisbane Airport too, dozens of flights unable to land.
What about?
In the Brisbane suburb of Murarrie, tragedy. A Good Samaritan killed trying to remove fallen branches. His final moments captured on camera. Police say the 30-year-old was hit by a falling power line and electrocuted.
Heartfelt condolences to the family of the man in Murarrie who died trying to help during the storm last night.
The supercell left a trail of destruction. Roofs were ripped off homes in minutes, wooden beams snapping under Mother Nature's sheer force, sheets of iron crumpled like scrap paper.
And come back this morning and this guy's roof is off and there's trees, glass broken, and yeah.
Buildings shredded to pieces littered across streets and front yards. This office block looked more like a demolition zone. Hallways flooded, trashed with files and parts of what was the building's roof. These corrugated iron sheets and timber beams were ripped off the roof and thrown metres onto power lines, creating a potentially deadly hazard for anyone nearby.
The roof's come off of the timber yard and just strewn itself through my yard, so yeah, the car actually moved a metre with these gusts of wind.
35,000 properties were left without power as 150,000 lightning strikes hit. Residents faced with a mammoth clean-up. Jordan Bissell, 7 News.
Melbourne's major shopping centres have released their extended operating hours to cater for the Christmas rush. Beth Yeoman is live in the Bourke Street Mall tonight. Beth, just how busy will it be in the lead up to the 25th?
Blake, the scenes here say it all. There is just over 1 week to go until Christmas, and it's one of the busiest retail weeks of the year. For many stores, tomorrow is the last day to order online before the Christmas cut-off. After that, the only option left will be in-store. Maya is opening tonight until 10 p.m. and will extend opening hours even further from Thursday, allowing last-minute shoppers in until 11 p.m. Chadstone will open until midnight from Wednesday. Westfield, Doncaster, Southland and Fountain Gate will also increase their hours as the week goes on, eventually matching the same closing time. And High Point will be open until 10 p.m. Gift cards remain the last-minute go-to present of choice, with more than 6,000 sold in the last week alone. Blake?
OK, Beth Yeoman, thank you. The Opera House was brought to life last night in tribute to legendary Australian performer Barry Humphries. His most famous character, Dame Edna, was projected on the sails of the iconic building. His life and career were celebrated yesterday at a state memorial. A rare Aussie milestone is agonisingly close. Abbey, Gelmi, Nathan Lyon is on the brink of greatness.
Blake, Australia's off-spinning goat is being made to wait a little while longer. The Aussies broke down a determined Pakistan, but a key fast bowler had to be dragged on day 3. Plus, a sizzling finish to the year for Carlton, although the skipper didn't come away unscathed. We've got more on Patrick Cripps coming up in sport.
Abbey, see you soon. Thank you. The growing housing crisis has sparked calls for change. Next, the planning overhaul that could reshape Melbourne. Also ahead, an unexpected visitor drops by in Melbourne's east. A High Court win for Harry in a phone hacking bombshell. What doctors learned about MS that could lead to a vaccine. And later, a warning for parents over drinks being marketed to children.
And it is going to be warm and sunny for the rest of the weekend. I'll have the details later in the bulletin.
A man has been seriously injured during an attack inside a city McDonald's. Police were called to the corner of Bourke and Russell Streets just after 3 this morning. The victim was taken to hospital in a serious condition. Another man was arrested at the scene. It is not clear what sparked the altercation. New rules on granny flats come into effect today, allowing homeowners to build a second property in their backyard. It's prompted calls for a new planning body to get rid of red tape on new home builds.
In the race to fix the housing crisis, granny flats are a small solution to a big problem.
We've been extremely busy for the last 12 to 18 months. And yeah, given what's happening, there's no sign of it slowing down.
From today, the law allows them to be built without a planning permit on any land over 300 square metres. That includes 700,000 Victorian properties.
If you can help young adults save for a home, that's a good thing. You know, if you can get people off the streets, that's an amazing thing.
The peak body for local councils now wants an overhaul of Victorians' planning process to create a new planning authority together with the state government, an idea yet to gain support from the minister.
We want a system that's got a much clearer process where the minister doesn't have that overarching capacity.
Anything that can allow people to overcome some of the red tape that exists in planning law can be a good thing, but we need to be careful. We need to look at the details.
At the last census, more than 30,000 Victorians were homeless, making up 27% of Australians sleeping rough. It's a statistic the government is already actioning in its housing statement, but some argue more needs to be done.
There's a number of really key things that you've got to consider to get this right, and if you get it wrong, we're stuck with the outcome for 50 to 100 years.
Ainsley Kosh, 7 News.
A hot air balloon made an unexpected landing on a suburban street in Melbourne's east. Donvale residents were surprised as the balloon drifted down onto a small park between houses, aided by its passengers. A ballooning industry spokesperson describes the landing as a normal flight operation. Nobody was hurt. A judge has found Prince Harry was the victim of extensive phone hacking by a British tabloid newspaper. The court found the practice was widespread. Now Harry's calling for a criminal investigation.
A young prince always in the public eye, front page news, tabloid fodder. But just how the British press got their stories, more than a dozen,
were the product of phone hacking or the product of other unlawful information gathering.
After a 7-week trial, 7 months of deliberations, a judge ruling Prince Harry was the victim of phone hacking.
On a habitual and widespread basis for over more than a decade.
The court finding directors of Mirror Group newspapers turned a blind eye to the practices, implicating former editor Piers Morgan.
I also want to reiterate, as I've consistently said for many years now, I've never hacked a phone or told anybody else to hack a phone. And nobody has produced any actual evidence to prove that I did.
Still, the papers apologised and paid him $260,000 in damages. Harry wants a police probe, having told the court how he suffered depression, paranoia and relationship breakdowns over the phone hacking. His father, King Charles, warning a crusade against the media was a suicide mission. Harry, speaking through his lawyer today,
I've been told that slaying dragons will get you burned. But in light of today's victory and the importance of doing what is needed for a free and honest press, it is a worthwhile price to pay.
The rest of the family lives by the mantra, never complain, never explain. Not Harry. In his quest for privacy, he's gone as public as it gets. This, the first time a royal has taken the witness stand in over a century. It's unlikely it'll be the last. In London, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
Australian scientists are pioneering world-first research to better understand links between glandular fever and multiple sclerosis. The project hopes to find better ways to diagnose and treat the condition and eventually develop a vaccine.
Mark Alicia's first signs of multiple sclerosis were a tingling sensation in his hand and weakness in his leg.
Sort of just showed up completely out of nowhere. It was just, completely confusing and bewildering, really.
33,000 other Australians like him are living with the condition. It's incurable and the causes are still unknown. Scientists are intrigued by the common Epstein-Barr virus that causes glandular fever and its links to MS.
So what is it about those people who develop MS that makes their immune system react in such a way?
A team of 40 researchers will conduct the study, spearheaded by the Garvan Institute and St Vincent's Hospital in Sydney. It will involve sophisticated technology, tracking individual white blood cells and what they react to, looking at genes too.
So what we want to try and develop here is a risk score that will be able to inform us of higher risk individuals.
The project will run for 4 years. By the end of that time, the risk score will hopefully be rolled out. In 10 years, vaccinations and other preventative treatments could be available.
A very big ambition of ours is to reach a point where we can prevent people developing MS in the first place.
Viewers can contact the team at the Garvan Institute for more information. Angelique Opie, 7 News.
An iconic Melbourne deli has been caught up in a food safety scare. Next on 7 News, the social media video that sparked an investigation. Also ahead, the major car maker facing a customer revolt. A prominent judge slams police over a controversial rape case. And the mission to bring Christmas cheer to sick children. One of Melbourne's most popular delis has been caught up in a food safety scare. A disgruntled customer posted a video to social media claiming their sandwich was riddled with maggots, an allegation the council is now investigating.
Watched by almost 350,000 people, this review of a sandwich at Hector's Deli in Richmond has made social media squirm.
We found maggots and some other crawling in our sandwich.
Doesn't look great.
The person who posted it claims they took a bite before noticing what they say are bugs.
Instinctively very grossed out, but
Can you take it at face value? People edit things all the time.
The cafe says it was shocked by the news. The owners self-reported to the health department and removed the item from the menu as soon as they were made aware. This morning, Yarra Council inspected the premises and found nothing. It also reviewed the cafe's processes, giving it the green light to continue trading. Some online are sceptical of the allegation, commenting, "Kinda sus they had no evidence to show in the moment, and it's obviously a setup."
I honestly wanted to throw up and didn't have the appetite to eat for the whole day.
The publisher of the TikTok has since gone to ground, despite multiple attempts from Hector's Deli to get in contact to verify the video and when it was filmed.
The council's full report will be released on Monday. Bethan Yeoman, 7 News.
A Sydney judge has sparked anger with suggestions innocent men are being held in custody over flawed rape allegations. Judge Robert Newlands accused lazy prosecutors of pushing ahead with cases that have no chance of securing a conviction. But advocates fear the comments will stop victims coming forward.
They carry a lot of social stigma and they often feel not believed.
The comments were made after a man spent 8 months in jail because of a false accusation. Donald Trump's former personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, has been ordered to pay more than $220 million over claims of election corruption. A judge found Mr Giuliani defamed 2 poll workers in Georgia when he accused them of tampering with votes in 2020.
The absurdity of the number merely underscores the absurdity of the entire proceeding, where I've not been allowed to offer one single piece of evidence in defence.
The victims, a mother and daughter, say they feared for their lives in the wake of his comments. A man has thrown hand grenades onto the floor during a live-streamed council meeting in Ukraine. The man is a councillor whose motives are yet to be established. He was critically wounded, with 25 others also hurt. The Ukrainian Secret Service has opened a terrorism investigation into the incident. Hyundai faces a driver backlash, with customers considering a class action lawsuit against the Korean car maker. They say dodgy paintwork has left them facing big repair bills through no fault of their own.
Peeling, flaking, cracking, bubbling, patchwork paint jobs you can see a mile off.
It's a crap feeling, it really is.
Some of these drivers have been battling for years to get their Hyundais fixed.
You're scared to touch it, you're scared to wash it.
I drive down the freeway, I can hear it, I can see it flapping in the wind, and I see it flying off my car. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Some have just been flat out refused repairs even after purchasing extended warranties. Others have had certain panels resprayed, but when the other sections start to peel, they've been told, too bad.
They said it's my fault, it's just reasonable wear and tear, which it clearly isn't.
Hyundai says most warranties last 3 years, but they review each case individually. Repairs will be done for free if it's deemed appropriate. If it's not, it's expensive.
It's $10,000 to respray the vehicle. It's probably only worth about $6,000.
There's nearly 500 drivers across the country with paint issues like this. They're all part of a social media group, hoping Hyundai comes to the table and fixes their problem, but prepared for the reality it might take something more.
We will be pushing for a class action on this.
A consumer lobby group convinced enough to back the drivers in.
We want Hyundai to do the right thing and fix these cars free of charge.
A spot of paint that could make a lot of lives easier. Rory Campbell, 7 News.
Police are on a mission to bring smiles to children spending this Christmas in hospital. Officers acted as Santa's helpers today, handing out gifts as part of an annual toy drive.
Victoria Police taking a break from the beat to lend a helping hand of a different kind.
Almost as big as you, there we go. Merry Christmas.
Police from the North Melbourne station today, Santa's helpers for Ronald McDonald's annual toy drive.
Unfortunately, many of the kids, many of the families will spend Christmas Day here. So again, if this is a small bit that we can do for them.
A truckload of 500 toys was donated by the public, 20% more than last year. A moment of joy for families whose lives have been turned upside down by illness.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
7-year-old Lucy Chilcott was recently diagnosed with cancer. The Tasmanians travelling to Melbourne to receive the best care possible at the Royal Children's.
Pretty full on.
but we'll manage. We're admitted this week, so we're hoping we get out just before.
In the meantime, they're staying nearby at Ronald McDonald House, one of 3,000 families using the charity across Victoria and Tasmania each year.
It's a lovely charity giving back to the community and to the kids that are in need.
In their time of need, and with what's going on in their lives and the challenges they have, that today provides a little bit of normality for them.
Jacqueline Stanley, 7 News.
There's a warning for parents over drinks being marketed to children. Why health professionals call them a gateway beverage. That's next on 7 News. Also ahead, charges laid over a callous hit run in Melbourne's east. The new video that explains a newsreader's viral blooper. And the seal of approval puts a tiny Australian town on the global social media map. Police have made a dramatic arrest in North Melbourne late this afternoon. They were called to the Boundary Road public housing flats after receiving reports of fireworks. They handcuffed one man on the footpath, but no arrests were made. An alleged hit-run driver has been charged over a crash in Melbourne's east that left a motorcyclist in hospital with serious injuries. Police say a 28-year-old man struck a 65-year-old rider with his SUV before driving away from the Knoxfield scene. It took police 2 days to track down the driver. He was allegedly driving without a licence. There are concerns zero alcohol drinks could become a gateway to the real thing for teenagers. Instead of discouraging drinking, scientists claim the products are more likely to glamorising it.
They look and taste like the real thing. Superstition ain't the way. And there are fears zero alcohol beer, wine and spirits could be serving as a booze-free first step for curious young shoppers.
I think for a lot of people, if they try having non-alcoholic drinks first, they end up liking the taste.
Mum Ivana and daughter Mia say the widespread marketing and availability of alcohol-free products make them more tempting to taste.
They're actually classified more like soft drinks at the moment.
A new Flinders University study is distilling what effects these products have on young minds and whether tighter regulations are needed in what's become a grey area for policymakers.
If these ads for zero alcohol beverages are working like alcohol advertisements, and if that's how young people are seeing them, then we might want to be thinking about treating them like alcohol advertisements.
We've even heard stories about school discos making zero alcohol products available. Also gives a message to young people that having alcohol in every type of environment is normal.
Keen to ensure these options for those wanting to cut back on booze don't create a new generation of heavy drinkers. Tom Johnson, 7 News.
Drinking carrot juice could help ward off cancer and diabetes, according to new research. After conducting daily blood tests on volunteers, scientists in Denmark found freshly squeezed carrot juice helps reduce inflammation and boosts the immune system. They believe this is due to its bioactive compounds, but they stress more clinical trials are needed. An Australian elephant seal with a taste for mischief is gaining worldwide notoriety. The surly sea beast is terrorising a tiny town in Tasmania where his exploits are gaining a big audience.
Dunalley is home to about 300 residents.
Morning, Neil.
And one of them, we're reliably informed, is a pain in the neck.
He's back on the road, back wanting attention.
This is Neil, the southern elephant seal. Wide and weighing in at 600 kilograms, he's hard to miss, particularly if he parks himself at your front door.
Someone lives here, mate.
The surly sea beast comes ashore several times a year, and locals are always very accommodating. But the fact is, now that he's 3 years old, he's developed a bit of an attitude problem, blocking roads, talking back, and picking fights.
He broke all my signs.
In Neil's defence, the signs started it.
Get out of here now!
Sometimes, when Neil gets riled up, the authorities have to intervene.
Police versus Neil the seal.
But his antics have amassed him a devoted fan base. 18,000 people follow him on Instagram, and this week he's taken TikTok by storm.
This is my son now, Neil, the 3-year-old elephant seal.
I think we've all adopted him.
We just know he's a scallywag, a silly little guy, and he enjoys breaking and entering into lawns that are not his.
Love thy neighbour, as the saying goes, even when thy neighbour is an absolute menace. Jacinta Lee, 7 News.
A leaked behind-the-scenes video has helped explain an on-air gaffe that left a British TV presenter red-faced. Mariam Moshiri apologised after giving the camera the middle finger at the start of the broadcast last week.
Live from London, this is BBC News.
But the new video shows she had been joking with the crew in the moments beforehand, using her fingers to count down second by second. Would never happen in this professional environment. Maybe it would. Sports next with Abbey Gelmi. Abbey, the Aussies have suffered an early setback in Perth.
Well, Blake, David Warner has gone from hero to zero as Pakistan strikes a new ball blow against Australia's top order. Plus, the latest on a sore Carlton skipper on a bruising day at the Blues. A famous Socceroo kicks and gets kicked as a family feud makes for an awkward Christmas. And too young to drive but old enough to outdrive Dad. Welcome back. Nathan Lyon will be made to wait for his 500th Test wicket as Australia looks to build on their first innings lead in Perth. Lyon's 3 wickets moved him to 499 as Pakistan were bowled out for 271. David Warner out for a duck with the Aussies 1 for 4, leading by 220.
The captain ending night watchman Shazad's shift early. Top gun Babar Azam shot down for 21 by Mitch Marsh.
Nicked it! That's it! That is what he does!
The ball barely gloved. Alex Carey quick-witted enough to land slow, delighting the bloke nicknamed Bison. Aman Ul-Haq, 62, before a rush of blood against the GOAT.
Oh, gone, surely! After such a long innings, lost his head, charged. Lyon deceived him with flight.
Pace.
Oh, beauty from Stark!
Doing most of the damage, Nathan Lyon offering tips to the quicks, the Spin Kings' advice paying off. Josh Hazlewood getting big in a hurry on Shaquille, snared by Dave Warner, outdone by his fellow opener.
Taken on, and is it picked up? It is by Khawaja, and Cummins has his second.
Wicket 499 for Lyon came via more sharp work by Carey. Boot on the crease, out. A zoom in required, barely a blade of grass in it. The third umpire favouring the bowler, the 500 club beckoned. But Golden Boy Travis Head stole the Lion Kings moment. For now, Pakistan all out for 271, still trailing by 216.
Pretty happy. Felt like we could have had them 4 or 5 down yesterday.
I assume you're batting?
Absolutely. Good day to sit in the aircon for us quicks.
No repeat of that first innings 100 by Dave Warner. Undone for a duck. Andrew McKinlay, 7 News.
A bruising final session for the year ended with Carlton captain Patrick Cripps battling knee discomfort. Despite recent concerns over heavy contact while training, the Blues were let loose before their Christmas break.
Cooking with gas off-field after a prelim year, these Carlton fans only have one Christmas wish on their list.
Santa coming to you or?
More than 3,000 diehards soaking up a physical hit-out. The Blues leaving nothing behind in their final session of the year.
Well, that's the strength of our group. We've got a competitive group. We've got guys that are fighting for positions. They're very willing when they get to play against each other.
As some players notched 17 kilometres, Patrick Cripps dealt with knee discomfort, strapped pre-training, a late contest and a failed mini-fitness run brought a premature end to the skipper's morning.
Yeah, he just landed awkwardly at the end of a contest there at training, but he's fine. He might have used it to get out of the running, knowing Cripper.
Orazio Fantasia being eased into his first Carlton summer, Sam Docherty in non-contact training, as George Hewitt overcomes a wrist setback, Zach Williams to join the main group in January. Across town, top AFLW prospects prepared for Monday's draft at the Elevation Sports training camp. Western Jet, Christy Lee, Weston Turner expected to become a Bulldog with pick 1.
I don't care if I went pick 1 or 100, just to get on an AFLW list has been my dream for my whole childhood.
Less nerves for Amy Gaylor and Laura Stone, pre-listed by Essendon and Hawthorn.
It's a pretty good place to be. I know if I was in their position, I'd be a wreck at the moment. Such an exciting list, and yeah, I'm so excited to play alongside all of them.
Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
John Aloisi is refusing to apologise after being sent to the stands in the A-League. The Western United was denied an equaliser due to offside, with Aloisi kicking an advertising board and given a second yellow card.
If I can't show passion in the game, we're trying to promote the game. I'm not going to apologise for showing emotion. By the way, it was with my right foot. So with my left foot, then it would have been a real kick. It would have ended up in the stand.
Aloisi watched on as United fought back to claim a brilliant 2-1 win in stoppage time against the Roar. Brisbane coach Ross Aloisi remonstrated with United players on the bench after the final whistle.
I don't think my brother will invite me over for Christmas. It was a bit heated, wasn't it?
The win was United's first in 7 games. Ange Postecoglou and Tottenham are back within reach at the top of the Premier League table with a 2-0 win over Nottingham Forest. The Aussie is even being suggested as a chance to take over at Manchester City in 18 months' time.
He is amazing, and if you're Manchester City losing Pep Guardiola in a year or two, you'd be looking at Ange Postecoglou now thinking, wow, that's exactly what we want to see.
Spurs midfielder Yves Bissouma has been banned for 4 matches after his second red card of the season. A thumb to the eye wasn't in the game plan for LeBron James. After a brief stint on the bench, the 38-year-old recovered in his first match against his heir apparent, Victor Wembanyama.
One for the generations. A moment of posterity there.
LeBron won the battle, but San Antonio broke an 18-game losing streak with a 14-point win. Tiger Woods and son Charlie were in sync on the range of the PNC Championship Pro-Am. The family tournament has become a yearly tradition for the duo.
We've fed off of our competitive nature, and we've really pushed each other to become better, and it's just a fun atmosphere.
Tiger showed he's still got some tricks with this driver off the deck. 14-year-old Charlie can now, get this, outdrive his dad. I just remember all the footage when he was tiny and all of his movements were the same as his dad. It was gorgeous.
Overpowering his dad. What a moment.
Scary.
Abbey, thank you. Melina Sarris is next with the forecast. Mel, how is Sunday looking?
Well, Blake, the clouds clear out and we will have some lovely sunshine all day. I'll have all of the details right after the break. The day breaks.
The news breaks on Sunrise.
The unfolding fire emergency. Breaking news, the Middle East is at flashpoint.
Start with what's unfolding.
The winds have picked up massively.
Start with the team Australia trusts.
One of the biggest issues that's facing the country at the moment.
Start with Sunrise.
Good evening. There was a bit of cloud around today, but the sun will be out tomorrow. The city started on 13 degrees and reached a top of 22 outside now, sitting on 19 degrees. On the satellite, a high-pressure ridge will extend over Victoria until Monday, which is when a trough begins to deepen over western parts of the state. Checking our capitals for tomorrow. A possible storm in Brisbane, 34, partly cloudy in Sydney, 27 there. It is 27 degrees and sunny in Adelaide as well. And Hobart is partly cloudy, heading for a top of 22 degrees. But in Victoria tomorrow, most of the state will start the day partly cloudy, but the north will be clear. By the afternoon, the clouds clear out and we will have warm sunshine with light winds, 30 in Wodonga, 29 at Seymour and 23 at Bairnsdale. It'll be sunny over the suburbs. Temperatures will range between 21 at Hastings and 26 degrees at Yarra Glen. So lovely and warm right across the state. Plenty of sunshine in the city too. From a low of 14, we'll climb to a top of 24 degrees. Monday is warm but cloudy, a top of 31 with a chance of an evening shower. Showers move in on Tuesday, a top of 19, and it's becoming windy. We dry out by Wednesday and we are dry for the rest of the week. Mostly sunny, 25 on Thursday, sunshine and 27 on Friday and partly cloudy, 25 degrees on Saturday and plenty of sunshine in the city tomorrow, heading for a top of 24, Blake.
Perfect indeed. Melina, thank you very much. That is 7 News. Thanks for making us part of your Saturday. We'll return now to Perth for the cricket. From the Melbourne News team, good night.
Stream 7 News anytime, live and on demand on 7plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news.